here's what we got. We have this Brian Steele document that was filed approximately 48 hours ago. So about 2 days ago on July 8th. Today is an important day in the YSL case. Why? The reason why it's an important day in the YSL case is because this case has been assigned to Judge Cross, and she has given the prosecution an extended deadline. They were given a deadline of Monday, an extended deadline of end of day today to show us what their response is going to be to the original documents that were filed to have Judge Glanville recused from the case. You know, there have been at least 4 attorneys on the defense side that have filed a motion for recusal. Shout out to Brian Steele, who probably has the loudest voice in this because he's representing Young Thug. But the other major thing that you need to think about, I had the honor of having Doug Weinstein on here last week. It was a beautiful intellectual conversation. But what I like to do is one thing a lot of people don't see about criminal defense is you really are representing a person, a client. A lot of people don't know who Yak Gotti is. So if you haven't seen that interview, it's pinned to the top of this channel. We learned a little bit about who Yak Gotti is and how hard they've been fighting to defend, you know, this person. How hard Brian Steele is defending a Young Thug. How hard Sharp is defending his client, right? How hard all of these folks are, you know, they're living their lives in jail. Now, this case seems to lean more team defense, and I understand there were actual killings and murders and things that took place. So on the contrary, let's look at it from the other side. You have individuals or you know, people that the prosecution is protecting, you know, the victims' families. What about Nuts' family? Motion to recuse Judge Glanville. Again, when you see the word supplement, that means the motion has already been filed, but they're just adding a few points or a few things. This is going to be expected for Brian. Why? It would be expected, and apologize, guys. I'm opening up Google Docs so that thing comes off of the screen. It's expected because of a few things. Number one, we know that this transcript has come out since Brian has put this document out, right? So since it's come out, we know that the transcript has been released. So of course, they are going to add a few things to it because there's a lot from the transcript that we weren't able to see the first time, right? So we know Brian's adding on, and this was redacted. He was saying that Judge Krause was given $2,000 by Judge Glanville for her campaign. You know, there was some talk about $500 towards Judge Glanville's campaign. Like, did they give each other money? That part has been debunked and is not true. All right. Again, this is a 233-page document. I want to bring us to around page 40. And the reason why I want to do that is a few things. Brian Steele's affidavit is about maybe 60, 70 paragraphs long. Lead and I covered that yesterday, so I'm not going to go too into it. But what you will see with this affidavit is Jeffrey Williams. It says that the defendant, it's a joint affidavit between Brian Steele and Keith Adams. These are Young Thug's lawyers. Young Thug's lawyers are saying, here are all of the points, Judge Krause. You need to make a decision. And her decision's probably going to come out in the next 48 hours, guys. Tomorrow or Friday. Chances are whatever side she's already on has been decided. The only thing we're missing is hearing the side from DA Love and DA Hilton, the prosecution. Their stuff is due today. So the judge has to consider what her decision is going to be. Usually they have their decisions made already. but the issue becomes we need to give the other side a chance to respond. So I'm ruling it right now. We will not get a decision today. So that's why I wanted to do this pre them submitting what they need to submit, because it is likely that we're going to see the prosecution say none of this is true, because what's going to happen very aggressive with some of the statements that he made. You bet your ass that DA Love is going to come back with statements rebutting what he said. So do you guys see how this largely becomes an intellectual war, so to speak? One side says one thing, and if you have to respond, you have to say the other thing. So on Monday, we already had Brian Steele's initial motion. And Tuesday, let me make sure the days make sense. Tuesday, we got a supplemental response. So it's good that there was an extension. Sting it, AV, sting it. All right. So what we have is a lot of examples of what Brian Steele put in this affidavit, and the state now has to respond to all of them. So we will see at 5 p.m. if they meet the deadline. Likely they will, and they likely started this job yesterday. I think we were somewhere around line 60. I'm going to pick it up from this page. So you guys can see the type of arguments that Brian Steele had. I'm really eager for y'all to see the order that they made for Little Woody. And then we will look at Melnick's emails and call it a day. I just wanted to keep it super light here, guys, and go from there. So let's see. So this is paragraph 48. So there were 47 paragraphs that Brian Steele already included to tell us why and persuade this judge, because she's looking at this from fresh eyes. She needs to know everything. He had to give her the full background of why this judge should be recused, a judge that is her peer. And yesterday she denied 2 motions recusing herself. So she's committed, at least, to making a decision on this. Here's what we see. Judge Glanville sat silent as lawyer Hilton told Little Woody that he has spent enough time in prison for YSL. And I can tell you right here, it says, see Exhibit B, lines 46. Simone said this. I read it to y'all last week. Simone definitely said this. This extrajudicial information to Judge Glanville that marks YSL as a criminal street gang, a material elements of counts in the indictment, including count 1, RICO, this statement marks that persons supposedly associated with YSL are guilty of criminality. Do you see this, guys? This is as if Brian Steele he read the transcript and wrote down 48 problems with it. This is number 48, and this is just an example. Right? He further goes on to say this entire illegal and unethical ex parte communication was during a critical stage of the proceedings for which Mr. Williams, as well as his counsel, had the constitutional right to be present for, based upon the United States Constitution as well as the Georgia Constitution. This Star Chamber meeting also violated Young Thug's right to be present, as well as the right to counsel, ineffective assistance of counsel, right to present a defense, right to due process, right to a fair trial, right to fair tribunal, and statutory right to a fair and ethical prosecution. All of these rights have been denied based on improper conduct of lawyer Love, lawyer Hilton, and Judge Glanville, all working together on the prosecution team. This paragraph is bad in a good way. It's cold. Because look at it. This is where we're going to get into legal writing. The last sentence says all of these rights have been denied based on the improper conduct of lawyer Love, lawyer Hilton, Judge Glanville, and all working together on the prosecution team. That's a hell of a conclusion. All 50 of these paragraphs include conclusions like that. And the beginning tells a judge what they're looking at. Remember how I told you he made a list? The first thing you're going to do is give sentence 1 The first point in that list, Judge Glanville sat silent as lawyer Hilton told little Woody that he has spent enough time in prison for YSL. Now, if you guys really pay attention to my content, I really paint it for you as if I was in court arguing. Last video that me and my team produced, and I'll include a card up here. I have to get used to where they are. I'll include a card after we're done with this. But the last video we produced was the top 10 most jarring things that we saw in that transcript. I wrote that down for y'all as if I was an attorney. I had other attorneys weigh in on what those top things were. But Brian Steele is telling you, no, guys, it's not just 10 things. There's 50. So when we look at these paragraphs, the first is going to be, all right, here's the next thing on the list. Here's the supporting body sentences. And here's the conclusion. The conclusion is he must be recused. I said this yesterday on Lead Side. The way you craft these legal arguments is looking at everything point by point by point. If a new judge who has no knowledge of this has to look at it, she's going to have to know exactly what was said. The other side's going to have to see page 46, line 25, 22 through 25. They have to show you where they're getting that from. You guys, some of you guys have been through college, and even if you haven't, even if it's basic high school, English writing, you have to cite your sources. You have to tell us where that's coming from. You can't just make things up in the law. You cannot just come out of nowhere. Sometimes you guys will hear me and Lee talk a little bit about case law. When lawyers put that in here, we're telling you what other cases support our position. It's not like, okay, this person did something wrong. Shout out to MG who's in here, another attorney. This is a supplement from yesterday, MG. But, it's just, I wanted to just take a moment to explain why this matters. Brian Steele is giving you 46 paragraphs. We're on paragraph 48 paragraphs of heat. All right, that's the structure of them. Next, he says, lawyer Hilton explained to little Woody that no one here expects little Woody to remember every single detail from 2015. Why is lawyer Hilton able to speak for Judge Glanville, who is present but silent? That's a good question. Is it because, one, they are either on one team, or two, Judge Glanville has denied Mr. Williams a fair trial and violated Mr. Williams' constitutional rights stated above and therein? That's the other big thing about this, guys. Judge Glanville, remember, baseball, football, basketball. A referee's job is to be on the sidelines and call certain rules that weren't followed. You call a foul. Even if people don't agree, take it on appeal. You call a foul. But here, this is a referee who was asleep at the wheel. He didn't say anything. So logically, what can you infer from that? Are you on one side? That's what Brian said in this paragraph right here. Do you guys see how it's like he made a list and I'm telling you he checked it twice? In this one, this is an example of, hey, you didn't say anything. Are you on their side? Because you're supposed to call it down as shown clearly by the following. Here's an example. Mr. Copeland asks, you can't give me house arrest? Lawyer Hilton answers, no, you can go home by taking the stand and testifying. That's what you, Judge Glanville, then states. And come back tomorrow. That right there. I could read that to y'all and you would hear it and not think that anything is wrong with that. Brian Steele earlier in this document said that they lied to little Woody about what the repercussions, the outcomes, all of the possible outcomes, the true outcomes, they lied to him about what the outcomes would be to testify. Brian Steele's argument is y'all lied to him. Why? Because you want to take down Young Thug and YSL. Granted, maybe they're guilty of the crimes. Who knows? Maybe they are. But in law, there is fairness. Each side has rights. And Brian Steele's like, hey, my client's rights have been violated. Judge, out of all people, you cannot pick a side. That's not your job. You cannot favor one side or the other. You're not supposed to do it. So look at those statements. Little Woody's like, he's taking care of himself. He's just like, I don't want to be in jail. Give me house arrest. I don't want to be back in there. And Hilton says the only way you won't be back in jail, her exact words, you can go home by taking the stand and testifying, which is true if he's in contempt for perjury. It is true. But it's not the only truth. It wasn't the only option. And that's what Brian Steele was trying to say. Let's see how he argues this a little bit more. He says Judge Glanville allows lawyer Hilton to be the judge. He allows her to be the referee by telling little Woody that he cannot have time to think about whether he's going to testify or not testify, and that he cannot be sentenced to house arrest but will remain in jail. This colloquy illustrates the fact that lawyer Hilton, lawyer Levin, Judge Glanville are working together as one. Judge Glanville has forfeited the right to be judge on Mr. Williams' case as he is biased. In fact, a fair judge does not have to keep a person who refuses to testify in jail. That's right. It is judicial. Oh, that might be the most important sentence in this whole thing. Contempt is a judicial decision. Damn. They screwed little Woody here, guys. They did. There are other punishments besides same, including a fine, house arrest. It's funny that little Woody knew that, but house arrest or whatever the judge deems appropriate. What legal right did lawyer Hilton have to pronounce punishment upon little Woody? Ooh, Brian's cooking. Brian's cooking because some of these paragraphs are answered with questions. A lot of these paragraphs include questions. Why? Because it becomes more persuasive for the judge reading it to think about those questions. Brian Steele, honestly, guys, I'm gonna call it. Can y'all type in best criminal defense attorney in Atlanta in the chat? Can y'all do that? The way that he's outlining these paragraphs is for persuasion. And, shout out to Attorney Adams. They probably worked on this together. This is beautifully written. I haven't even read stuff like this in criminal law and criminal procedure in law school. This should be in law books for our kids and our grandkids in the future because it's very persuasive. It is. It's wonderfully written. Hopefully she doesn't deny this joint, but let's keep going. Judge Glanville fights for the prosecution by stressing to little Woody. This is bolded, the word they. They want your testimony. It is all they want, whatever that may be. Do you see how, guys, you see how that helps? Brian's persuading this judge. They. Who is they? What did you mean by that, Simone? This is a legal writing masterclass right now. I hope y'all can see it. This is brilliant. Let's go back in. Judge Glanville is an advocate for the state. Why does Judge Glanville tell a witness that the state wants his testimony and that's all they want? Why does Judge Glanville care that the state wants a witness testimony? That is not a concern of an unbiased judge. 52, lawyer Hilton explained that little Woody will not be charged with perjury, although that is outside of the order of use of immunity that was provided to the affiant by Judge Glanville. No Brady Giglio evidence was provided by Judge Glanville or lawyer Hilton. This is legally wrong. 53, lawyer Hilton and Judge Glanville misstate the law of perjury and give promises of no prosecution. They gave it to little Woody. This, again, is Giglio Brady evidence not revealed by Judge Glanville or lawyer Hilton. In fact, same was hidden from Mr. Williams until Mr. Williams insisted on receiving this transcript. That's big. Brian Steele's basically telling you guys, if I didn't say anything, we wouldn't have the transcript. Because he said the judge came in, the prosecutors came in, and they sat down and acted like that meeting just didn't happen. When you have 6 defense tables over here with 6 people that are sitting in jail and have been in jail for the last 2 or 3 years, and are we gonna act like that didn't happen? If Brian Steele if he didn't get up and say something, I'm sure some of the other attorneys would. Shout out to Weinstein, he was here. I'm sure some of the other attorneys would have said something, but Brian did not let up. Judge, no. What was that meeting about? What did y'all just talk about? Court was supposed to start at 9. It's 11:30. What are we doing here? What was that? Because from the outside, if you've done this for a really long time, like Brian has, you can tell what's going on. You can logically assume what are the possible outcomes, what are the 3 or 4 possible outcomes of what can go on. Is it a situation where there's like lawyer misconduct? What is a prosecution sitting in there with you for without the other side for almost 2 hours? Little Woody, a represented person, which I'm gonna show y'all the emails. 2 alleged attorneys, Kayla and Melnick, whatever, 2 people are suspected to represent him. This could be I'm telling you that. Coupled with the earlier statements by little Woody about murder, which does not have you got to get questions answered. There was barely any refereeing when little Woody was on the stand. Now I'm going to get off my soapbox and go back and just finish this for y'all. Judge Glanville and lawyer Hilton are necessary witnesses as little Woody confessed to them. I did these crimes. I'm telling you that. Coupled with the earlier statements by little Woody about murder, which does not have a statute of limitations. That's on my top 10 list. Little Woody is telegraphing that he is responsible for the indicted offenses. This critical evidence was not given to Young Thug's side by lawyer Hilton, lawyer Love, or Judge Glanville. In fact, same was hidden. Affiant will call Judge Glanville, lawyer Hilton, and lawyer Love as witnesses because the jury needs to see and hear how Judge Glanville, lawyer Hilton, and lawyer Love cajoled perjury testimony from little Woody. They hid Brady and Giglio evidence and worked together to wrongly convict Mr. Williams. The instruction that the judge has no interest in this case is not true. Mr. Williams will invoke his constitutional right to present a defense and call all necessary witnesses, including all 3 cohorts. Judge Glanville must be recused. In a separate motion, Lawyer Love, Lawyer Hilton must be disqualified from continuing on this case for misconduct. Now, let me scroll for a little bit. We're almost at the end. He has 64 paragraphs, and we have just finished up paragraph 54. So his argument is that Glanville, Hilton, and Love are witnesses when Little Woody said, I did these crimes. I'm telling you that. Next one, 55. Glanville is a necessary witness also because he handed an unknown document to Little Woody's attorney in Little Woody's presence. So he gave it to Kayla. Steele wants to cross-examine Judge Glanville regarding why he would give this unknown document for Little Woody. Steele wants to know what's on the document, and that's the thing. The transcript doesn't tell you what's on it. The jury needs to hear from Judge Glanville so they can determine whether Mr. Williams has been given a fair trial by a detached, impartial jurist, as claimed by Judge Glanville throughout the case. Lawyer Hilton will be called as a necessary witness because, oh, sorry, y'all seeing my email. So sorry, my friends. Oh no, it went to my email. Sorry for that interruption. 1 minute. I think we were on paragraph 56. I had sent that document to someone, which is why I had it up. Here it is. Sorry, guys. Let me move in again. Find my place where we were. I think we were on page 46 out of 233. No, we were on the second to last page of Exhibit A. Okay, gonna share screen. Sorry, y'all. Mistakes happen. Watch people in the comments be like, you suck for making a mistake. You're not human. I don't like you. Die. They say that all the time. All right, let's keep going. So we were right around 56. Okay, Lawyer Hilton will be called as a necessary witness because she, like Lawyer Love, met with Attorney Bumpus and Little Woody for unknown amount of time off the record. That is true. There was a statement of off the record in the transcript. Affiant will examine Lawyer Hilton on the premises she made Little Woody and other witnesses in the past, as well that they are not revealed to Affiant. So what Steele is saying here is like, okay, I'm going to call them, but if there are other people, we will call them as well. Next, Judge Glanville and Lawyer Hilton worked together, attempting to have Little Woody dress in civilian clothing to appear before the jury as a witness. Y'all remember we talked about that, and they were looking for a suit that fit him? Brian says, why would Judge Glanville care how the state's witness, Little Woody, appears before the jury? This is specifically true since Judge Glanville did not do the same with an earlier witness, other witnesses, specifically Mr. White, who testified in jail clothing. So, Judge, you didn't give a shit about someone else wearing a jumpsuit. Why does Little Woody have to be in a suit? Tell us. Why? Judge Glanville and Lawyer Hilton speak for each other. This is paragraph 58. Lawyer Hilton answered Mr. Woody's question on whether he would be locked up for this, and Lawyer Hilton responded in front of Judge Glanville, so long as you testify, we, word bolded, will get an order to get you released. Do you know how many criminal defendants are behind bars right now that would love to hear that? Judge Glanville remained dutifully silent as Lawyer Hilton explained that she/we would obtain an order to have Little Woody released. Judge Glanville, Lawyer Hilton, and Lawyer Love are one and inseparable as they violate all of the named constitutional rights of Mr. Williams in their respective oaths of office. Again, Judge Glanville and Lawyer Hilton handed Attorney Bumpus documents, who then gave Little Woody unknown documents. And Steele will again examine lawyer Hilton and Judge Glanville on the witness stands on the contents of these documents and why they were given and the reason for putting pressure on little Woody to testify against young Doug. The jury has a right to know whether Judge Glanville has committed numerous ethical and unlawful violations. Judge Glanville must be recused. We're almost there, guys. 60. These are not only times that Judge Glanville has showed bias against Mr. Williams and his counsel. 61. Judge Glanville initially refused the release of the transcript of this ex parte hearing. Y'all remember that? That occurred in his chambers on June 10th because he claimed the same was privileged. Obviously, that statement is ridiculous. Additionally, Judge Glanville must be recused automatically since he defended his position against Mr. Williams' motion to recuse on June 17th. This honorable court, Judge Krause, must be recused. She already denied this. I'm telling you, 63 is already denied. As she sits on the Fulton County Superior Court along with Judge Glanville and has accepted a re-election campaign money from Judge Glanville, specifically receiving $2,000 in April of 24, 2-3 months ago from Judge Glanville. This occurred during Mr. Williams' trial, which commenced during January 4th of 23 and is ongoing. I swear above is true and accurate. So paragraph 63, she's already denied as of yesterday. She denied it because it's not enough. Yes, she got money from Glanville, but judges do it all the time. She did not give him money, which was promptly corrected, but the other matter of Judge Glanville coming off of this case is not yet decided. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Steele's argument, and I just showed you the end.
Just over here cheating off her page right quick. What I call doing my homework. I don't know about y'all, but it got me here. I got a diploma. Anyway, man, this was the breakdown of some of the paperwork on what's the hold up on this RICO trial. The Young Thug YSL RICO trial, to be exact. Nevertheless, and before I go, let me give AV to the 7 Power a salute. If you want to see, she actually live right now. If you want to see more of AV, slide over on her page, show her some love. Tell her Fly High sent you. This Fly High Productions with Mr. Follow Up. Salute. I'm out. Squad up.